Here is a rather experimental instrument for RD instruments, going away from Doppler to the acoustic correlation technology, which we had tried on Discovery with the aim of trying to achieve underway profiles down to 1,500 meters. And on a good day, the acoustic correlation current profiler worked rather well. And here we have the ADCP in red, and compared to the lowered ADCP, which is now an accepted technique, in green, and then weighted so that the depth cells from the LADCP match those of the correlation profiler, and certainly a reasonable approximation between those two in the east velocity. But they were, most of the time, this was an instrument that did not work well on Discovery. I was particularly interested at that time in its potential as a bottom tracking velocity log in depths of over 6,000 meters for use on autonomous underwater vehicles. And in this graph here on the bottom left, we can actually see the signal response at about 4,300 meters away from the ship. So ample signal to noise ratio here. And so certainly an exciting instrument with what should have been great potential for use as a long-range Doppler velocity log. But Discovery was not the ideal platform for this instrument. Quite a complex graph here in the top, where we show in red the noise counts on the left axis of this instrument during a CTD station. So what's happening here is that the CTD wire is being paid out from a hydraulic winch, and the noise counts keep going up and up and up, and the valid data shown as green dots go from 0 to 1, where 1 is valid data, and there's rather little valid data in this period. Now, the disadvantage here was that where this transducer could be put in the ship was right in the winch room, so it's next to this sort of complicated system of pumps and so on, with an awful lot of noise at the operating frequency of 22 kilohertz. Then, when you stopped the winch and started hauling in, again, a very different noise pattern, but with all of these quiet periods where you stopped to make water bottle measurements. That was a problem. There were also problems underway, and there were also problems in operating the correlation profiler in the upper ocean. So there was interference, which took us an awful long time to try and figure out what on earth it was. And here's the cause. The transducer was right next to the ship's fuel tanks, and sound was getting into the fuel tanks and then echoing around in those fuel tanks while leaking back into the sea, and then causing a problem. So, working with colleagues at RDI, we were able to finally describe what was going wrong, and we could have learned a great deal more about where better to have put this instrument. So, in 14 slides, I've covered 34 years of my own experiences of Doppler. And they're not finished yet, and now in semi-retirement, I'm working with a UK company, Most Autonomous Vessels, the developer of the AutoNaut autonomous surface vehicle, and working with a client from Texas A&M University to fit a modern workhorse ADCP to this autonomous surface vehicle, and expecting to learn a great deal about how this can be used in the Gulf of Mexico in the coming years. So it's been a fascinating career where Doppler, Professor Doppler, and his ideas still intrigue me, and just like Bolzano said in the opening quote, they still do keep me up every now and then with ideas on what we may use these instruments for. Thank you very much.